In between that is the Bardo of natural life. Now, if we master this natural Bardo of this life, if we master this, then the next Bardo, the Bardo of dying, will be easy. If we, when I say that if you master this subject, it will be easier. I'm not only saying theoretically, but practically. If you can practice, if you can manage to contemplate this natural Bardo of this life, then also during the death or dying or after the death, the shock or the horrible or paranoid experience that will come normally will not surprise or shock you. Let's go back to the dream. Let's say you always wanted to, let's pick up an ambition. Yeah. Let's say Stephen here has an ambition to get married with the daughter of Sultan of Brunei. Does he have any daughter? Okay, good. Right. But that's cause and condition number one. Okay. And he has been trying hard to make it happen. Cause number two. So all these add up. Okay. Now tonight Stephen dreamed that actually that marriage is happening. Sultan of Brunei invited him, and then he went there, and then there was a big marriage ceremony. There was all these state guests and all this, Prince Charles came as a chief guest and all this. Oh, he's overjoyed. Huh? Now, in the dream, there is Saddam Hussein coming. How about that? To robe his wife, newlywed, what do you call it? Wife, of course. And he is very powerless, and then he is in a complete mess, in the dream. He wants to keep his wife badly, but he can't do anything because Saddam is so powerful. Now, the reason, he will feel paranoid, he will experience all the paranoid things, right? Well, if he is stupid man, if Stephen, he will try to maybe fight, he will try to get through all these Republican guards and go through, Iraqi borders and things like that. Maybe broken heart, and he might want to hang himself or something like that, Now, this is very important. There's a trick. I mean, not a trick. There's a key that you have to understand here, which is earlier I was talking about, natural part of this life. Now, in the natural part of this life, there's so many different kinds of experience. From the moment we were born until we are caught by a disease or a cause and condition that will make sure that we die. While we are living, if we don't know, if we have not mastered the natural part of this life very well, if we have not done full contemplation, or if you are not good at how to deal with this, sudden shocks and uncertainty, fear of uncertainty, things like that, then all these paranoid situations, all these, shocks will invade you, and you will be in a mess. Now, in the dream, when Stephen is dreaming, he doesn't know he is dreaming. Now, this is the key, not knowing that he is dreaming. Yes. Now, because he doesn't know, that not knowing is the cause of all this paranoia.
因为他不知道
phenomena of Saddam Hussein, Republican guards, all these because of not knowing that he is dreaming. Then even someone sober like Churchin come, and tell, hey, Stephen, you are dreaming. Stephen may end up getting angry with Chechen,
那
saying that how can you say that? This is a real thing, you know,
所以
in
现
the
在
dream. In other words, Stephen does not want to awake from that dream, even though it is a bad situation. He would rather dream that he hang up himself. You know,
他宁
he
愿
hang himself. That's it. That's how our life is. I will have to elaborate this more, since it's kind of, there's a little bit of, you know, twist there. Well, actually, you know, after this teaching, there will be triple vision, right? The triple vision, the teaching of the triple vision is very strong teaching on the natural Bardo of this life. I can sort of connect these two, you know, because it varies. For example, the Bardo, natural Bardo of this life can be also various. For a practitioner, it is a different experience on the natural Bardo of this life. For non-practitioner, also different. You know, also within the practitioners, bad practitioners, good practitioners, really, really good practitioners, you know. For all of these, and also the non-practitioners, some, you know, really, you know, violent people, some, you know, completely negative people, you know, completely, you know, kind of psycho, should we say, or whatever, you know. Different people have different kind of approach or a different perception of natural Bardo of this life. Therefore, someone's paranoia is not everybody's paranoia.
所以对于某一些人呢，一个非常惊讶的或者一个非常惊讶的一件事呢，对于另外一个人他可能毫不感到一点惊讶。
It all depends, you know. What do I mean by practitioner? Again, go back to the dream. If someone like Stephen, if he is someone, you know, there are some certain person who knows while they are dreaming that they know that they are dreaming, right? Now, if someone like that kind of person, you know, or let's say Steve, again, who knows that he knows that he's dreaming, that he's marrying, right? Because he knows that he's marrying, and this is all like a dream, he will just, maybe he will not want to dream it, that's fine. Maybe he will just like to, okay, let's try, you know, there's not so much harm. So, in other words, he doesn't have much hope and fear. So, this marriage that he had during one night, and this big war between Saddam Hussein is almost like a play, you see. Likewise, for a sublime being, for a great saint, all this life, all these so-called civilized manners, all this good behavior, bad behavior, you know, one should wear a tie when you go to certain place, one should not wear slippers if you go to certain place, things like that doesn't matter. For a sublime being, if someone tells you you are completely stupid and all this kind of, you know, bad words, it doesn't matter, because he treats this, he thinks that, oh well, this is like a dream, you know. As Steve, you know, treats his dream, this sublime being will treat his situation like that. So, let's talk about different varieties a little bit about this natural Bardo of this life. For some, this world is beautiful. Festivals, music, you know, cultures, mountains, place where you can travel, place where you can have suntan, place where you can go to the concerts, place where, you know, you can make merries anyway, you know, happy. Wherever they go, it's miserable, congested, end up meeting arrogant people. If go to the mountain, there's biting problems or, you know, things like that. Can't take the sun because it burns you. Yeah. For some, food doesn't matter as much as they can eat. Millions and millions of dollars they spend for, so much money they spend for eating. For some, they spend so much money on dieting. You know? So it's all different. For a practitioner of Cherim, a developing meditation, everybody, those who are good, for a good practitioner of Cherim, he sees all the men as dakas, all the women as dakinis, all the realms as land of Chakrasambhara or Kachari or... So, as we can see, there's a big, for some, a religion is the worst thing that can have in this world. For some, religion is the best thing they can have. It's just, it's so different, completely different. And for those who are practicing, like Logrim, the completion stage meditation, or actually I should have said, for those who are practicing developing meditation, everybody appears, all the beings appears as a deities. And for those who practice completion meditation, all the places appears as 24 shrines, 32 different places and things like that. For ordinary beings, generally speaking, because of the ignorance, they think to something that is untruthful. They think it is truth and the ultimate truth. To something that is not permanent, they think it is permanent. To a suffering, we always misunderstood as a bliss or a happiness. We see some of our people as enemies and fight with them. Spend all our energy fighting with them. Who could be our relatives in our past life? Some we calling them as relatives and friends, we protect them and spend so much energy. Who could be an enemy in the past life? We have identities such as me, I, mine, you, yours, he, she, they. We spend so much energy collecting, protecting, growing. We spend so much our mental energy expecting fame, respect, and so on. We spend most of our lifetime doing completely useless things, such as reading what is happening in Indonesia, in Jakarta, 13 killed with a bus accident. Even when we dream, when we sleep, because of the ignorance, because of very, very thick ignorance, most of the time when we sleep, we just become like a corpse. So half of our lifetime is actually dead. Even you dream, because of as a display of our ignorance, almost all our dreams have something to do with the desire, jealousy, and anger, pride. So therefore, it is important to find a proper root, doesn't matter branch, here it says root, that's why I was telling you, a proper teacher. I don't want to bring this root business, you see. This always seems to sort of confuse lots of people, because we Buddhists, we have what I call inspiration disease. When you meet someone whom you like and who acts according to you, then you immediately jump to the conclusion, okay, this is my root teacher. And after 2 years, when you meet someone better than that, then there is a guilt of feeling that he is better. And this guilt that, some of the, blindly brave students, they try to cover this guilt, but then they don't know how to delete your ex-root guru, Going to be ex-guru. It's just difficult. This is Bardo anyway. So that's why we need a proper teacher and go through step-by-step practice. And especially try to, Buddhism, or the Dharma, Buddha Dharma, is not really to open a sutra, read that, or to open a sadhana book and to do that. It is, Buddha Dharma is looking at this life. If you look at this life with an unbiased mind, this is a practice of the first Bardo. See the difference between all the varieties that I have just talked to you. Beautiful that is for someone is ugly for another being. So if you know this, not just intellectually but practically, even though even a third world war goes under your bed, you really don't care, because at this moment you have gained some kind of a confidence that, this world is always like that. Therefore, the study of Bardo of this life is so important. It comes as a first category because if you don't understand this first Bardo of this life, which is actually the easiest to understand, but people ignore it. If you don't understand this, then you will never understand the later Bardos. So we will end here our session tonight. 5 questions. It has to be strictly on the Bardo, about Bardo. And I must remind you that after this, it will be better if you can join all the course, so that it makes some kind of a sense, you know. But of course, if you are not free, and you can listen to the tapes. Is it recording? Recorded? Okay, you can listen to the tapes. This is going to last for another 3 days? 4 days, is it? But I think the fourth teacher must involve together. Because many times I realize that students and teachers both, have dead or something, you know. So 5 questions, yeah? Yes, Jam? How to wake oneself in the dream? That's a very good question. You need to recognize the shocks. Can you please hold that question until maybe day after tomorrow? Because we are going to elaborate up, we are going to talk about the different shocks. Okay? Anyway, you may think that when I talk shocks, you may accept it, automatically you may think it is something negative. But every moment, moment by moment, every moment of our life, there is a new shock, Only some of the gross ones that we know. And usually it is because of our ignorance. Like, if you hear that your friend got sick, you get shocked. This shows that you have been very stupid. Because, of course, this is a human being and made of flesh and bones, and he will get sick. There's nothing surprising. But you get shocked. Now, I'm not denying the shocks again. More you study Bardo, you will have more kind of shocks. You will not have more shocks, but you will be aware of more shocks. When you are aware of shocks, then that's the time when you know you are dreaming. Yes? 4 more questions? Strictly about Bardo. Watch horror movies. Joke, you have to just practice impermanence meditation. Maybe wear human bones on your neck, Or sleep with a skeleton, skeleton. Okay. 3 more, yeah? Natural. Well, you can include that in the Bardo meditation. 2 more? I don't understand you. Can you please? Yes. It is quite difficult to create our own dream and make it happen, You mean daydreaming? Okay. Yeah. 1 more. Already answered. 1 more. Can you pass the answer, please? Yes, Gyam, can you answer that question? I just answered you, right? When can we realize that this is a dream? Didn't you say that? This life is a dream. Oh, this is interesting question. Can you, based, using the logic that I told you, I give you the answer. Can you answer this? I want to listen. Or Stephen, can you do that? Yeah, when can you realize that this is a dream? Yes. Come on, yes. This is good, you should get into this. When you become more aware of shocks, right? At first it will be gross shocks. First gross shocks, and then the more subtle shocks in the later stage. And when you know them, then you begin to know that this is a dream. Actually, this is quite easy. As I was telling you, to watch the life is to practice the Buddhism. Watch your state of mind. For example, you go to a movie, for example, like Gone with the Wind. It's a long movie. Yeah, there's a new one called Dances with the Wolf. Yeah, you should watch this. As I watch that, maybe I'm just being very, I'm a big, movie watcher. I'm a professional movie watcher. As I watch that, I feel that, I have been somewhere there in that Indian country. All different types of emotion arose from me while I was watching that movie. Sadness and, excitement of this beautiful photography and all this, buffalo running, and it's just, all this kind of. And then, not only that, the state of mind, it was set as what, 1960s? No, 1930s, was it? 1930 or 40? Something really early.
This movie?
Yeah.
Earlier than that.
When was it?
19th century.
I think it was set as, the set was as like 19th century. So you feel, you kind of completely forget the 20th century, you know. So you see, the mind is like that. So you're watching that, you can do a lot of things. But then, you know, you are always indulged to different foods and more movies, different ones. Many people are crying, you know, nearby me, you know, as we watch this. Something like that can move people, even though it was going on a blank screen. Okay, that's all, and good night. Of the Bardo, the natural Bardo of this life. Can you hear? Okay. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, study and practice of the Bardo is not something ritualistic. Also, it's not a study of kind of a doctrine, you know, religious dogma or something. Actually, all the practice and study of Buddhism should not be isolated as or kind of nominated as kind of a religion or something like a doctrine.
如果我们以一个没有不偏颇的心，所谓不偏颇，就是说，如果我们没有任何的装饰，假如我们以这种心呢去看我们每一天的生活，看我们今天的生活，那这个呢，实际上就是真正的是在研讨，同时也在修习有关于宗教。
Before I started this session, I was talking with Michael Gyam, and he was telling me that there were some people who there are some people here who kind of have difficulties not knowing how to contemplate. You see the word contemplation that we used last night. Contemplation will be quite difficult if you treat the dharma or treat the method as something traditional, as something, you know, some idea that has brought down from India, from Tibet, and you know, if you treat the Buddha Dharma as some kind of a conducted method, you know, so then it will be difficult to. You will find it quite difficult to sort of contemplate. There is lots of downfalls, or not really downfalls. There is lots of mistake that we do when we sort of study or practice the Buddhism. And most of this mistake arise through not knowing how to contemplate. And the reason why we don't know how to contemplate is because we treat Buddhism as something else, you know, some idea, but we don't treat it as the truth. On a, you know, major level or on a gross level, Western people will find difficult to contemplate Buddha Dharma, which is taught by Tibetan Lamas, because when the Tibetan Lamas teach, they will teach with a Tibetan attitude, with a Tibetan influence, with a Tibetan environment, atmosphere, and all this. And this Westerner, who has been for many years have all this influence from their own society or family or education, will have difficult time to contemplate a sudden or a new arising habit. Individually speaking, as we can see, if someone says something which you don't agree, it will be quite difficult for one to accept what he is promoting, or what he is suggesting towards you. You see, for Hinayana or the Theravadan oriented people, it will be very difficult to contemplate or to even have open-minded for what this so-called Mahayana or Vajrayana people do. And this goes to not only the Theravadan practitioners but also to Mahayana practitioners. They will also face difficulties to accept or to contemplate some of the teachings that you find in the Theravada. This is because you are making lots of distinctions, and this is because you are making the Buddha Dharma as Hinayana, Mahayana, Tibetan Buddhism, Sakya, Nyingma, something that comes from India, something that needs to wear such and such robes, something that before you receive you have to kneel down, fold your hands somewhere on your, in your heart, or then you pray, and all this kind of solid, idea or solid influence makes you actually put yourself into a further place from the Buddha Dharma, rather than making yourself closer and closer to the Buddha Dharma. So that we find these days not many people are practicing the Buddha Dharma, but we are practicing the idea of the Buddha Dharma, and we do imagine that we are practicing the Dharma. But to really be, if you really want to be, Buddha's path is something simple. Simplicity is one of the most important in the Buddha Dharma. And if you really have a clear mind, if you really sort of abandon all this biased mind, and if you sort of try to be open and receptivity, if you try to become sort of to become someone who can receive everything. But I don't mean being naive. Just look at that life. From this morning up to now, we went to, let's say we had a breakfast, and we choose the breakfast. We, some of us, we didn't want coffee, but we preferred tea. And when we choose our clothes that we wear, we gone through some kind of effort. As we walk in the street, we posed, as much as we can. Sort of posing. Every movement, we try to sort of, not really pretend, but try to do something, And some of us, we had a misunderstanding. Some of us, maybe today is the first day of falling in love, So just look at what we have done today, Look at, but without any biased mind, which means that what you have done today, I didn't eat any meat, and that's good, because I'm Buddhist, and I should be vegetarian. Things like that. You're making judgment, this thing that I have done is good. I should do this because that's the right way to do it. I should do this because that's how man should dress, or how man should walk, or, this is how lady should speak, or things like that, Not judging like that, but just simply look at the life, what we have done just today. And then you are practicing the Dharma. Now, knowing the Singaporeans, I definitely think that some of the conservative people here may not agree this. But I must say that I have actually a support of the Buddha himself. Because actually the first thing he taught after he got enlightenment, the first thing he taught in Varanasi, he said, know the suffering. You see, he didn't say practice Sakya, Kaju, Nyingma, Mahayana, Hinayana. He didn't say any of this. He just said, know the suffering. You see? And when you elaborate the teaching of knowing the suffering, we talk about knowing the birth, knowing the old age, knowing the sickness, and knowing the death. So this is exactly the teaching of the Bardo. So if you find difficult, maybe Michael Jam was right. He was telling me that maybe we should sort of change this word contemplation, because this contemplation is very old-fashioned word. So people are kind of stuck with this idea of contemplation. So in order to, we need to we first need to contemplate on the contemplation itself. You see, Buddhism, as according in this way, as you see, it is really not really that difficult to practice. In a way, just watch this life without any biased mind, without hope, without fear, without any judgment. Just look at this life that we are living, this living thing. That's the best way you can do. Now, if you need some kind of a, guided practice, then, you can visualize sort of your consciousness sort of went out and look at you, now you as a corpse there, not really your consciousness, but your awareness is now looking at you, Now, the first stage of Bardo, the natural Bardo of this life, there's really nothing much to talk apart from what we have done yesterday and today. It is, you see, a Bardo normally, as we all think, Bardo is an explanation of what will happen after the death, what kind of paranoia, what kind of fear, what kind of different visions and different colors and different frightening experience will come. So we normally think that the Bardo is teaching based on that. Yeah, and I have to say that yes, this is right. And here, even in this natural Bardo of this life, as such kind of experience comes in our after the death, it is happening right now. In the Bardo teaching, generally it describes about different kinds of deities, wrathful deities and peaceful deities arising after you die. And actually, you should not think that such deities arise only after the death, but actually it is arising now. Wrathful deity